Man, look at this brick. This OEM automatic transmission ECU. If you guys haven't seen my auto to manual swap, please check it out. That is an awesome series that I made. At least I think so. So I just need to set up the wideband controller now. You know, idle was actually great. I was surprised. I still need a timing light so that I can hook that up to the ignition wire on number 1 cylinder. And check the timing on the crank to make sure that I'm good to go before I actually start tuning the car. I got to make sure I get that done, because it'd be a bad idea to try to tune and not even have the ignition timing set. So what you do is you set in the Haltech ECU a 10-degree advance, whatever that entire RPM zone, or you can set it as a hold. That's actually the best way to do it. So you go into the Haltech ECU, you put a hold, and you set it to 10 degrees advance no matter what RPM, load, etc. Now, once you do that, then you get the timing light, you hook it up into the number 1 ignition for cylinder number 1, and then you check timing, make sure it's right spot on at 10. And then on the laptop, if it's not, you just make adjustments to offset that until you meet 10 degrees exactly. So I'm about to put the car up on jack stands. I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to route the wideband. And I also have to get the vacuum line. I might set it up through here. I'm going to check out a couple different spots. I might be able to route the vacuum line. All right, so I just pulled back the fender liner. This looks like a good spot to route the vacuum line. So for the Haltech, comes with a built-in map sensor, as I explained earlier. So I'm going to run a vacuum line from the intake manifold, probably right through this right here, and have it go directly to the ECU. All right, so behind the fender liner, this yellow is probably for, you know, the safety system for the airbags, etc. So I decided to go through this plug, specifically this one right here. So I had like a tip, like a nipple sticking. So all I did was clipped it. So now I'm gonna route this vacuum line through here, which I've routed up through this big hole where I used to have the charcoal canister sticking out. I already removed that earlier. I did that, I showed that on my Instagram if you guys wanna follow. So this vacuum line, I'm gonna route it up, and depending on the length, I'll choose where I wanna select which vacuum line going to the intake manifold. So this worked out perfectly. So I just clipped that one end and then started to shove the vacuum line in. I put a little bit of grease just so it slide in easily, but that's a perfect seal around it. I routed the MAP vacuum line through here. I took off the old blow-off valve since I'm gonna be replacing that when I get the front mount. So the line just goes under here, under the intake, and then I snugged it up right over here by these traction control relay case. I didn't make it too tight because I don't want to pinch the vacuum, of course. And then I routed it down here, goes through this side tunnel, and then it goes all the way inside this fender liner, and then directly into that little area that I cut. It fits so perfect right here. It's like a small nipple that pops out. You just clip it, and then you can slide this vacuum line, and it's airtight. So now, inside the car, I hooked it up. I routed it through the back. I don't even think I can show that really on camera, but all the way back there, you'll see the orange cup, and you route the vacuum line. So I brought it up here and then directly to the Haltech right here. So now I'm just gonna hook everything up and take another look at the wideband and see if there's any adjustments I gotta make on the tables. So the vacuum line that I set up that goes from the ECU directly to the engine intake manifold, that needs to be set up. So currently it's set up as analog voltage, which is the factory one. It's got the color and everything. So I'm gonna select onboard pressure sensor, and boom, look at that thing. We got some caps. I'm gonna block off where the blow-up valve used to be. So right here, I'm gonna set that up. That's on the intake track, and then this one's where the boost pressure is gonna see right after the turbos. So this is gonna be real tight, but it'll be good to go. I mean, I'm not worried about that. I just gotta figure out the wiring for the IAT. I think I'm gonna run it through the back, or I might try to run it by the radiator to come up to where the IAT bung is gonna be, because it's gonna be right around this area once I get the intercooler piping in. So I'm just gonna zip tie them, try to push them forward a little bit. There might be a slight gap. I mean, I'm not really concerned about that. Just aesthetic purposes, but this will seal it just fine. It's way past this lip. So these caps will block off boost from escaping on the charge pipe, and then it'll allow only filtered air to enter the engine. So this MAP sensor is going to be completely useless since I'm going with speed density. So I'll be changing the intake in the future, and maybe there I'll see if there's like a line or something I could just run to here, just so it, you know, it looks a little bit better. But all right, that looks great. So at least to me it does. So I zip tied them super freaking tight, so these caps aren't going anywhere under boost. And then this one's never gonna have to worry. So it's just capped off to prevent any leak for air going past the intake. Still looks clean. All right, so wideband is installed on the downpipe right there. Look at those beautiful welds. That's a P tuning, and Manassas hooked me up. Quick turnaround. So I'm running the lines up here. Unfortunately, the connector isn't that long. So I'm just gonna try to find the easiest way to hook it up and try to hide it, essentially, because I just want it to look clean in the engine bay. So once I hook that up, I'll be running this directly through this port and then straight down. Probably gonna use the other hole on this orange grommet and see if I can route it directly into the cabin. All right, so I said I wasn't gonna pop this out, but I have to. So the easiest way is to come on this side and cut open this hole, cut it bigger so that I can fit the wideband cable through here and route it up into the cabin and plug into the O2 sensor. But this is a lot easier to pop in with a little bit of grease. And here's a vacuum line that fit perfectly on this side. So if you guys decide to go this route, I mean, this is just a couple ideas to think of. You know, I don't want to mess with any of the safety equipment or anything having to do with the airbags whatsoever, SRS. So obviously, I mean, I highly doubt there's any electromagnetic interference, but I'm just gonna avoid it, because if the OEM manufacturer decided to keep it a separate grommet completely away from the main harness, well then there's a good reason to do that. All right, so I finally got this freaking plug through, so that really sucked. So that bottom grommet is so small. This cable is so small also, yet the connector is huge. So what I had to do is I just had to cut it. Unfortunately, I just had to cut, make that a lot bigger. So there's like a bunch of slits at the bottom right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some rubber cement, the stuff that I use on tires, to fill up that rubber so that it seals, because I want this to be waterproof completely. And this is what I was talking about. This is like that rubber nipple that you cut off. So there's two of these, one's going in, the other one's going out. So I used the one that was sticking out. That's the one I used originally for the vacuum line. And then the other one, I just used it for the cam. So I had to pull it out through the back, and then I was able to clip it. Holy zip ties, Batman. So I just put a zip tie on the vacuum line because it fits like perfectly on this side of the frame. There's like an indentation right here. So the vacuum line's sitting in there, and just to keep it in that same area, I just put a zip tie right behind this main wiring harness. So that'll keep it from snugging around. I'm gonna clip this in a minute. Just got a whole bunch more parts from Freed Engineering. Shout out to those guys. So just got the tiled blow-off valve. Got this O-ring set up. About to install it on the lower intercooler pipe. So I'll show that now.